GBC is doing, were you raised Catholic?
No, I wasn't.
Good for you. What were you raised?
Seventh-day Adventist. They're vegetarians. Seventh-day Adventists. They go to church on Saturday. They believe Sunday's not the Sabbath, and they're vegetarians.
Contrarian. Very nice.
Excellent.
Anyhow, Ramachandra, are we taking up too much space right now?
No,
Or are we doing okay?
we're doing okay. So I wanted to bring it back to the League for 10K, and then
This is the League for 10K.
no, I'm talking about the discussion about whatever the ISKCON people are trying and whatever these other gurus are trying, it's not working. That's the point.
Why?
Because they're making plans for their temporary body and their
Yes.
temporary existence right now.
Yes. They're planning within the structure of the material three modes of nature.
Yeah.
They're
So-
living within the
yeah.
three modes of nature as though they have become liberated souls.
That's what I wanted to get at, beginning with the conversation that I was going to share.
Go ahead.
So I asked this question here. I must show it on the screen so anyone can see. Well, here it is. This person, Joshua M. Muneas, he's a disciple of what's that guru? He's outside of ISKCON.
Narayan Maharaj?
No, not Narayan Maharaj. He's still alive. Tirtha, no. What's his called? It's his. This is his picture. Hold on.
Outside of ISKCON?
Yeah, he's a Prabhupada disciple, but he joined the Gaudiya Math.
Oh,
Yeah, the guy that wrote the Gita. What's his name? Your god brother.
Oh,
you wrote the
Narayan?
Gita. Prabhupada wrote the Gita. What?
No, he wrote his own Gita. What's his name?
I have that Gita.
Krishna Balaram Swami.
No, not Krishna. He's Western Body, Prabhupada disciple, Western Body. He was a big book distributor at one time. I'm forgetting his name. It's just slipping my mind. He was a big book distributor, and he was a sannyasi.
Temporary.
Yes, him, Tripurari. Yes. So he's a disciple of Tripurari Swami. So I asked him this question, which
But
you were saying.
Tripurari Swami is not that brilliant, I'll assure you.
Yeah, I
knew
know
him
that.
quite well. He used to work under my direction.
Yeah. So after we were associated with each other in 2008, 2009, and then when I went to India, he joined an ashram, and the guru fell down, and then he was looking for a
Who's
living guru.
he?
This Joshua guy.
Why did he join an ashram when he had Tripurari?
No. He was in an ashram with a bogus guru, and then when the bogus guru fell down, he joined Tripurari Swami's camp.
You're talking an ISKCON bogus guru.
No, he was also outside of ISKCON. He was a Prabhupada disciple, but he was functioning outside of ISKCON, meaning that he has his own sangha, and he was the guru there. So when the guru
It
fell
would
down,
help to, if it were not so mysterious.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
What is his name?
Oh, his name was Gorahari Das Sanudas. So he had an ashram in India where Joshua and I was there. I visited there just to check the whole scene out. But eventually we found out, well, I kind of knew something was going on. He was a homosexual, and then he fell down. And when I was in America, the ashram totally broke down. And this person, Joshua, which you see here that I'm having a discussion with here, he joined Tripurari Swami's camp. So I asked him some preliminary
So what was
questions.
Joshua's initiated name?
His name is Mulridhar, something like that. So my main thing was I asked him some questions. I asked him, has your guru chosen the next guru after his death, like a successor guru? What system does he follow? Who's making all the noise in the background? There's someone? Okay.
KR Bliss.
Okay, yeah. So we don't want noise in the background, please. Okay, so I asked him, has your guru chosen the next guru after his death, like a successor guru? What system does he follow? Then I further asked him, may I ask him directly? So
Who said that?
I said that. I asked him a
You
question.
said that.
Yes. So he replied, good question. I'm not certain what my guru has fully in mind. Certainly, Padmanabha Swami is also a large influence on our Sangha. So the reason why I asked this question is because Tripurari Swami is outside of Prabhupada's ISKCON. Even though he's a Prabhupada disciple, he's claiming to be a Diksha Guru, right? Anyone who,
Yeah, and didn't he write his own Gita?
yeah, he wrote his own Gita too. Then I asked him a further question. Do you consider both your guru and Padmanabha Swami to be an Uttama Adhikari? See it? Do you consider both your guru and Padmanabha Swami to be an Uttama Adhikari? So this is where their understanding kind of breaks down.
Well,
This
does
is-
Jagannath know what Uttamadhikari is?
That's a good question. Jagannath Prabhu, do you know what Uttama Adhikari is?
Um,
Or an idea? No.
well, Prabhupada, I know, and
Okay.
maybe someone who's a pure devotee. Is that? Did he say
A
that?
person that's just to make it easy. You want it easy?
Yes.
Easy means a Uttamadhikari is a resident of Krishna Loka. He is in his rasa with Krishna in Krishna Loka. Like Prabhupada could descend on Krishna's desire from Krishna Loka. But because he took a body in Bengal, it doesn't make him a material person who came up to becoming a God knows what.
Hmm.
He descended from Krishna Loka, and he gave the clue that he said when asked that there was never a time he could not remember Krishna.
Right.
He came to be a pure devotee. He came as just like Lord Chaitanya appeared as Yuga avatar, as Radha and Krishna. He doesn't need an introduction, right? If his person is a Yuga avatar, that means that is a Yuga avatar a pure devotee? Is he who's his spiritual master? How did he become a Yuga avatar? What is the process? None of that applies.
Exactly.
Yuga avatar is descended from Krishna Loka. So Jagannath Prabhu, to clear up any cobwebs that may be remaining there, and also in the conversation with Ramachandra, the Uttamadhikari descends from Krishna Loka
Okay.
and has nothing to do with people such as you meet in an ISKCON temple, who are all trying their best and they're trying to be sincere, etc. But they're still in the material consciousness, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
They're still inside of the three modes of material nature.
Yeah.
Anyone who is subject to the three modes of material nature cannot be understood to be an Uttamadhikari.
Yes. As
So
you
that's what ISKCON, GBC, the whole, shall I say shit pile? The whole thing is all Kanista, Madhya, well, three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, attached to the jiva, who is then saying, well, I'm taken initiation from a pure devotee, and I've done everything right. I've followed all the regulated principles so far as anyone can tell. And that makes me a candidate or an actual guru. Well, it doesn't. All it makes you is a obedient priest in the religious culture. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're going to have you. If you really have Asperger's, unless you're faking it, if you really have Asperger's, we need you desperately.
Yeah. If anything is not clear, please feel free to ask and stop us, because we want your understanding to be 100% solid.
100%.
Questions asked.
Well, thank
And
you.
on top of it, if you say you have Asperger's, just take into account that people like me will expect you to act on that platform.
Just being me. I'm not faking anything.
Huh?
No,
I'm just being me.
as you grow in your Krishna consciousness, these things will become natural.
Yeah.
To ask penetrating questions.
But if you have Asperger's, it means you'll be able to see through the whole thing.
Well, it brought me here,
The three
so I'm
modes of
happy.
material nature is not spiritual life.
Okay, now, Narayan Prabhu, let's
If you
continue with
chant all
the.
your rounds and everything, it's not spiritual life. Spiritual life means, like Prabhupada, pure devotee. So go ahead, Ramachandraji.
So I asked Joshua, my friend, and I consider him my contemporary friend and god brother. Do you consider both your guru? His guru is, what is his name again? I'm forgetting.
Ferrari?
Tripurari Swami. His guru is Tripurari Swami. Do you consider both your guru, Tripurari Swami, and Padmanabha Swami to be an Uttama Adhikari? So Joshua says, no, a guru does not need to be an Uttama Adhikari to initiate. A, quote, pure devotee who offers their life in the fire of renunciation means they are Madhya Madhikari. I love to talk about this some more. So you see here,
well, he's not quite correct. First of all, the Madhya Madhikari are few and far between.
yes,
It's not easy to find one.
yeah,
Because it means, as we've discussed a million times on this site, a Madhya Madhikari is a person who is making his direct progress under the direct guidance of Krishna, of Vishnu, in the form of Paramatma, up through the material, dark material universe to the point where he can begin to experience his rasa with Krishna. So that doesn't grow on trees.
yes. So you see here, he says, a pure devotee who offers their life in the fire of renunciation means that they are a Madhya Madhikari. So
If that were the case, why not?
yeah, yeah, right. So how does a renounced person preaching Krishna consciousness become a Madhya Madhikari? I mean, it doesn't have any.
Well, he has to take many births as a Kanisa Adhikari.
Yeah.
Why don't you define Kanisa Adhikari in terms of what Prabhupada gave us?
And also, where does he get this definition that they're pure devotees?
Yeah, right. So, we were discussing about how these other groups of people have no understanding about the Uttama Adhikari Srila Prabhupada, and how would their movement go on? For example, Tripurari Swami has started a movement. Now, how is that movement going to last for 10,000 years?
Can't.
Will it last for 10,000 years? So I'm asking these questions because he belongs to that camp. Do you see what I'm saying? So then I replied here. He said, do you have 15 minutes? Yes. So I quoted Srila Prabhupada's Nectar of Instruction, verse 5. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform. And it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master.
And that's where the trick lies, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to Uttamadakari, the one that we had was poisoned to death.
Yes, sure.
So where are you going to find another one?
Yeah, yeah. So, and then he says, are you familiar with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Madhurya Kadambini?
Kadambini.
Yes. No, I replied no, because we do not go. What's that? I said, actually, no, because we go with only the Uttama Adhikari Acharya, who is Srila Prabhupada, and we consider going out of the scope of his books. We do not consider going
Vishwanath
out.
Chakravarti is within our sampradaya.
No, he is, but Prabhupada did not translate his books, meaning that he might have used quotes, but he did not.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, we are not going to discuss anything that Prabhupada has not said, because that is opening a can of worms. Who knows what kind of adhikar this person. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is a pure devotee, but when we're discussing here, we're discussing what Prabhupada is saying, because obviously that's who we follow, right? So he
Without
said,
question, that is the big issue.
right,
Because they're saying, well, we had Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee, now that he's gone, and that's where the trouble begins.
Yeah.
From the words, now that he's gone.
yeah,
And the question is he gone?
absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, why? We can say absolutely not, but I think at this stage of the game, we have to.
There's a lot of scratching and banging. Narayan Prabhu, you're doing something? It's coming out
I'm
live.
sorry,
so-
I got some ice out of the fridge.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
over. No more banging and scratching.
Okay. So yes, you were saying, Prabhu? It was not clear.
Oh, what were we saying?
Oh, I said we were not going to discuss anything outside of Srila Prabhupada's books. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur,
His
Madhurya
books or his
Kadambini.
conversations or his kirtans
Yeah.
or him personally. We
Yes.
cannot just say, I studied with Bhaktivedanta Swami and I became a damn good disciple, and so now I'm a successor. Can't do that.
Right.
So
Right.
read what Joshua responded with.
Yeah, he says, let's define Uttama Adhikari. By one definition, a guru is a pure devotee. Okay, yes. There are different shades. Vishnavat gives an example to pure devotees. Even one chanting the pure name makes one a pure devotee. And then he says, I understand your perspective with Srila Prabhupada. The spirit of Prabhupada's teachings are to enthuse you to serve your guru.
Who's your guru?
Our guru is Srila Prabhupada. His
No,
guru
no, but
is,
what does he mean?
yeah. So he's saying that the spirit of Prabhupada's teachings are to enthuse you to serve your guru. So in his case is
A physical body guru.
yeah,
Maybe that's what he means.
yes, yeah, that's a good point, which is Tripurari Swami. It's
Okay,
fine.
so you take Tripurari Swami, he has a physical body, but is he descended from Krishna Loka?
That is the question that I wanted to ask him. So
Yeah,
and then
so
he
did you
says,
ask him?
yeah, the spirit of Prabhupada's teachings are to enthuse you to serve your guru. It's fine if one thinks one's guru is Uttama because guru represents Krishna. Well, this
That's
is,
stretching it, isn't it?
yeah, it's fine, Narayan Prabhu, you can think whatever I want. I can think whatever you want. Rupa can think whatever she wants. And you,
And if you think that your guru is pure, then he's pure.
yeah. Right.
But there's a lot of women who think their little boys and little girls, that their babies are pure,
Yeah. Yeah.
Does
So-
that make them pure? Or you say, oh no, you can't pay attention to what a woman says. You have to only go with what a sadhu says or the father says, or You know, his father said, no, dear, our children are not pure. They are just children. You know,
So-
I mean, where are you going to go from there?
So I'm trying to portray a problem here because they have not taken shelter of an Uttama Adhikari spiritual master. You know, their understanding is pretty skewed up, and they cannot give an accurate.
Well, yeah, that's what we're sort of sneaking up on, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So you see here, he's saying it's fine if one thinks one guru is Uttama because guru represents Krishna. So,
Okay,
you know,
well, how do we answer that question? Well, the point is, it keeps on boiling back to whether or not the guru and it doesn't even matter about the guru. What about me? Am I under the influence of the three modes of nature or not?
yes,
If I'm under the influence of the three modes of nature, then I cannot perceive whether or not my guru is a pure devotee.
right, right. So that
And so
raises a,
if any rascal comes around and says that they are a pure devotee and I believe them, then I am probably mistaken, aren't I?
yeah, right, right. So in this case,
But it
then,
always comes back to the same thing. A pure devotee is a resident of Krishna
Krishna
Loka,
Loka. Yes,
and these other gurus, no
Are
matter
not.
how many nice things you may say about them, and no matter how much you may say, well, he's representing my Prabhupada, therefore he must be pure devotee or something.
right, right.
It is based on our ignorance. It's not based on transcendental knowledge.
Yeah.
Where is the proof?
Where is the
Where's the
proof?
knowledge?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right. What makes
Yeah.
you think Tripurari Swami is an Uttama Adhikari? You have to prove it to us. We don't have to prove Prabhupada is a Uttama Adhikari. We can prove Prabhupada is a Uttama Adhikari.
Well,
But
we
you-
don't have to say Prabhupada is an Uttamadhikari. You can say anything about him you like. But then when you look at his output, his
Oh yeah, That-
what he has
What he
generated.
did.
yeah.
What he
That
did.
Yes.
that I
That's
answered
true.
in the next point I made. So he says, I also believe that Sanatana Goswami expresses in his Hari Bhakti Vilas that there are three kinds of Vaishnavas in their stages. And then he quotes, one with 2 feet in this world and 2 eyes to Goloka Dham, another with 1 foot here and 1 foot in Goloka, third devotee who is fully 2 feet in Goloka. What do you think of that?
That is said by Sanatana Goswami.
Well, he's apparently saying that. I'm not sure. He doesn't quote that, meaning any of Prabhupada's books. He's not quoting any of Prabhupada's books here. He's going off.
It seems a little awkward.
Yeah. But anyways, let's continue with his
Yes.
the quote you gave me from Prabhupada, from Srila Prabhupada, makes it sound like one must achieve the surrendered service to an Uttama Adhikari. But how will you know? He says,
What is that supposed to mean?
yeah, the quote you gave me, I gave him the quote that one must be an Uttama Adhikari to initiate. Therefore,
Yes.
one must accept initiation from an Uttama Adhikari. So he's
Yes.
replying, the quote you gave me from Srila Prabhupada makes it sound like one must achieve the surrendered service to an Uttama Adhikari.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, whatever this means. Surrendered service does not mean that you become a Uttama Adhikari. Right?
No, you have to understand who is an Uttamadhikari.
Yes.
Actually, when it came to Srila Prabhupada and he started preaching in New York and around the world and stuff like that, it was luck on our part. We followed him because it seemed like it was a good idea.
That's a very
That's
good point.
fine.
You have mentioned it's luck, but is it really luck?
Yeah, seriously.
Obviously, the luck is not. Luck means Lakshmi, right? Good fortune.
What
Yeah.
about the story of your studio? You were going to go to an art studio and then it was stolen from you.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh, you know about that.
I don't think it's luck.
Yeah, that was sort of amazing, huh?
Right, right. So, luck may be something to do with, but ultimately, I don't think it's luck.
Well, put it this way, the holy name of Krishna in and of itself is capable of delivering the soul simply whoever hears it once. So we have to go to Lord Chaitanya, who is Radha and Krishna combined, and say that Radharani has made available the Hare Krishna mantra more than Krishna, more than the Krishna side, the Radharani side has made the Hare Krishna mantra available, and whoever hears it miraculously will go back to Godhead.
Yes.
In spite of everything, just hearing it once. He said, oh, that's great. I'll go back to Godhead. I guess I don't have to do anything anymore. I'll go back to eating hamburgers.
No,
that's not the point.
Right.
The point is that you can go back to eating hamburgers and you will go back to Godhead. But the real question is when?
Right.
So in Krishna Loka, time does not exist. On planet Earth, time is all over the place. In other words, the little bug that's flying around, the fruit fly, may live a few days, but as far as he's concerned, he's living a big, full life, right? And we look at the fruit fly saying, oh, that poor little fruit fly, he'll be dead very shortly, whereas I'll live to be 95 years old. And does that make it, do you see what I'm saying? It's just a relativization of lifespan.
Yeah.
So the real question here is that in Krishna Loka, if you've heard the holy name of Krishna, then you're registered as being a resident of Krishna Loka. But the question is, okay, so when do I go to Krishna Loka? You have the ticket in your pocket, airplane ticket in your pocket, we like to say, but you're not on the plane. Why not? Because you're not pure. You're not living a pure life. You haven't given up anarthas. You haven't followed the regulated principles. The four regular principles are the key to going back to Godhead.
Yeah. So then,
because ultimately the Kinnisadakari, meaning the ISKCON is a Kinnisadakari platform, is Brahman. Brahman means Aham Brahmasmi. That's what we teach. That's what we convey. Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am spirit soul. But if you are on the Madhyadikari platform, you would not be saying that. You'd be saying something more elevated.
okay, then he further says, what does he say here? Only when an Uttama comes down to Madhyam can one begin to observe discrimination or vivek. Okay.
So what did you say?
I didn't say anything. Then he says, a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Nectar of Instruction, verse 1.
Well, but who can do that?
Only an Uttama Adhikari.
Right.
Yes. The Nectar of Instruction is talking about the Uttama Adhikari. So,
and it says in the 5th verse that only the Uttama Adhikari can become guru.
yes. Then he says, what are your criteria for being eligible to initiate?
Well, that depends. He is asking?
Yes, he's asking that.
What did you say?
I said, I replied to his quote about Nectar of Instruction, verse 1. Who else can have that in control except an Uttama Adhikari?
Right.
And then I said, one must be an Uttama Adhikari, as all the predecessor acharyas, they are Uttama Adhikaris. Meaning Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the Krishna local residents. Then he says, yeah, I see your point. You say must. Srila Prabhupada even states in your quote that one does not need to accept Uttama. Well, they're going to the point where Prabhupada is recommending that Kanishta and Madhyam can initiate, but the disciples must be on the same level, and they cannot advance further than the Kanishta Adhikari Guru or Madhyam Adhikari Guru.
Well,
Right.
and we're watching that unfold in front of our eyes in the
Right.
form of ISKCON.
Yes,
We have
Yes.
people that are, for the large part, for the mostly, are obeying the regulative principles,
yes,
but then,
they have made the church out of ISKCON.
yeah, they have not become the Uttamadhikari, nor have they accepted the Uttamadhikari.
Yes,
If you accept the Uttamadhikari, it puts you in a totally different category.
yes. Then he says, I'd say an Uttama Madhyama with Ruchi. Then he says, Joshua says, I'll look for the quote. In the Madhurya Kandambani classification, it's optimal for sure. It's saying an Uttama Adhikari is optimal for sure. But then,
It sounds like he's saying that he's an Uttama Madhyam with Ruchi.
oh, you mean Tripurari Swami? Is
No,
that-
I think he's saying that about himself.
Oh,
He'd say, I'd say am Uttama Madhyam with a Ruchi. It's hard to say, understand what he's saying.
yeah, it's hard
The
to
real
say.
question is, who is free from the perception of the three modes of material nature?
Only an Uttama Adhikari. That's it.
Correct. So
That's-
is he claimed to be free from the three modes of material nature?
Yeah.
He does. He
No,
does
I'm
say he
not
is.
sure what he's. I'm just saying, yeah, to your point, that that's a question to him.
Yeah, well, that's the question.
Yeah,
If you're free of the three modes of material nature, then at least you have come to the point of Brahman.
yeah. I
And
was.
what is Brahman? Brahman is the Kanistadakari platform. If you come to the platform of Brahman, then you can become progressive. You can make progress towards the Madhyamadhikari platform.
Yeah.
Unless you come to the platform of Brahman, meaning Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul, and realizing it, not simply saying it just because that's the right answer. Once you know that you're Brahman or spirit soul, then you can make progress. But why should a person that is a conditioned soul, meaning does not yet know that he is Brahman, how can he anticipate going further? How?
Hmm.
That's my question.
Yeah,
How can you go further? As far as I'm concerned, the way Prabhupada established ISKCON is he made a platform. I like to compare it to a magic carpet. Why? Because magic carpets fly through the air, right? So what is the magic carpet? The magic carpet is the Kanista Adhikari platform. Crawl onto the, grab a hold of the fringes on the side of it, drag your filthy body up onto it, take a bath, shave your head, chant Hare Krishna, and you're at the beginning of the Brahman process. Aham Brahmasmi. The minute that you are on the magic carpet of ISKCON, that is the Kanista Adhikari platform, as long as you follow the four regulative principles.
yeah.
And
Follow the
everything
program.
else.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what is the program? That means
Disciplinary
beautiful
program.
deity worship in the mood of Vishnu, not in the mood of Krishna Loka. We should understand, it's sort of hard to understand that the Radha Krishna deities on the altar are not being worshipped as Radha and Krishna in Krishna Loka. They're being worshipped as Vishnu, and Vishnu is very attractive. Why not as Krishna in Krishna Loka? Because Krishna in Krishna Loka can only be worshipped in his rasa with you. When you have a rasa with Krishna, then you can worship Krishna in Krishna Loka.
Okay,
If
let's
you
come
don't
back
have
here.
a rasa with Krishna, then
Yes, Prabhu.
what is the question? What are you doing? You're just a neophyte in the temple worshiping the deity, saying, I love the deity, therefore I must be a pure devotee. It doesn't work that way.
Right. Here he's saying it's optimal for sure, and I would go so far as to say that it's all right and maybe necessary for the disciple to see one's guru as topmost. To be objective and less than absolute may help. Desiring
Okay.
needs to yes, no, Prabhu.
Go ahead.
Desiring needs to define terms based on Shastra. So
That's all talk.
yes,
Shastra is a bunch of words. It depends who, first of all, who wrote the Shastra. Obviously, he reaches outside of Prabhupada's writing. So, I mean, what is this Shastra? Shastra is, it's like the Christians. I mean, it's very much like religion, the Christian religion. Oh, it's in the Bible. Oh, it's in the Bible. There's nothing you can do about that, right?
yeah,
But that's not what we're dealing with here. The outside of the realization has to be coming. Well, anyhow, go ahead. I lost my track.
okay. I just commented. My comment needs correction. I told him that we don't need to see proof that Srila Prabhupada, I used was, it should be is, an Uttama Adhikari. If you study his life as a child and what he did and he wrote, etc., it's no doubt he is an Uttama Adhikari. The same order was given to all of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami's disciples. So why would he recommend something less than ideal? So I'm saying here that Prabhupada wrote these wonderful books.
Why did Bhaktisiddhanta recommend something other than ideal in the form of Prabhupada?
No, I'm saying that Bhaktisiddhanta was an Uttama Adhikari. Srila Prabhupada is an Uttama Adhikari. Why would Srila Prabhupada recommend anything less than an Uttama Adhikari, which all his books say? Right?
Right, because his godbrothers were all less than Uttama Adhikari.
Yeah, right. So I'm posing the question, why should he recommend something less than ideal?
Didn't take them very far. A lot
Yeah.
of ISKCON devotees went flooding over to Puri Maharajas, the two Puri Maharajas, and to Sridhar Maharaj and Madhava Maharaj and all the other Maharajas. They all went over there because they all seemed like stable adhikaris. They seemed to be stable devotees. But were
Yeah.
they Uttama Adhikaris? Clearly not.
No.
And if they were, they would be spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world.
Right. That's the main point here.
Yeah. When I first came to India, at the time that with Srila Prabhupada, I went on the first Vrindavan parikram with Srila Prabhupada. It was sort of glorious.
Mhm.
With a group of devotees, went to Radhakund and different places. When that happened, I was asking myself, well, Prabhupada is a pure devotee of Krishna, but certainly he can't be the only pure devotee of Krishna. So I will keep my eye open to see, not offensively, but I'll just see how will I recognize? I'll meet a devotee. How will I know whether or not he looks good? He's got a special grin on his face. He's accepting donations. I mean, is he a pure devotee or not a pure devotee like Prabhupada? And then it occurred to me, here is Gaur Krishna, here is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaur Krishna Das Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And then there's Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is spreading Sankirtan, congregational chanting all over the world.
Hmm.
So if there was another pure devotee like Prabhupada, it suddenly dawned on me. I said, wait, he would be spreading Krishna consciousness, Sankirtan all over the world.
Yes. Yeah.
And he would be coming from Bengal and we'd be coming from New Delhi. We'd meet in the middle in Benares and start having ecstatic dancing together But it didn't happen. What happened was Prabhupada would be sending his disciples out chanting, and everybody else would try to knock us down and say how we were not right and how Prabhupada wasn't right and how, in other words, they were trying to build up their guru by knocking Prabhupada down.
Yeah.
Now, why would they do that? They were his godbrothers. Wouldn't he say your godbrother should be supportive? What if you were in a family of 10 kids? Do you expect all the kids are going to be knocking each other down or supporting each other?
Supporting each other. Actually, if you
Well,
study
why not?
Prabhupada's, if you study Prabhupada's letters, he invited his godbrothers here. You guys come and you guys take my position and preach. But none of them actually ever came.
Well, I figured out why. Because I heard one of them. Let's see, I'm trying to remember which one. A good one. I think it was one of the Puri Maharajas or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I would love to come and preach with you in America. But he said, but I have to take care of my institution.
Mm.
And I thought, wait a minute. If he goes to America, he can have 1,000 times this institution. He can be surrounded. If he was like Prabhupada, he'd be surrounded by disciples, right?
Yeah.
So what does he need his institution for?
His little institution.
His little institution is one temple. And the question is, why was he afraid? Two things. I concluded, at least from whatever I know, which is not much, but I concluded his institution was one thing. He was afraid he wouldn't be successful. He thought he would be like second to Prabhupada, which nobody wants to be second to anybody, right? But the other thing is, he was afraid that if he left his temple, his institution, that somebody else would take it over and make it their institution. So if he came back with or without disciples, he would be without the temple. But he fought so hard to get. At the time of Bhaktisiddhanta said, they're all simply fighting over who's going to get the best temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, he was saying. And
they have no faith in Krishna that they would succeed in the West, so they just want to stick to what they have.
Yeah, and not let go of it unless somebody takes it away from them.
Yeah.
Because after all, they had to struggle to get it in the first place. The temple they had didn't belong to them. It belonged to Bhaktisiddhanta, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, or belonged to the Gaudiya Math. Go ahead.
Yeah. Same thing here now. All the temples that are been started and people are collecting money in the name of ISKCON. It's actually Srila Prabhupada. It's the only guru there. And, it's all his money. And these people are just caretakers, making sure that Prabhupada's instructions are followed, and he's the guru, not I am become the guru, or.
Are you talking about Narayana Goswami Maharaj?
Who?
Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj.
Well, he's a controversial figure.
Yeah. There were a couple of disciples Srila Prabhupada invited when Prabhupada saw the preaching mission needed more help, meaning that, he could have utilized his godbrother's help in preaching his guru's message.
But not Narayan Maharaj.
Yeah.
Other godbrothers.
Yeah, his older godbrothers. Yeah. His contemporary, in a sense, where they were, his age. And
you realize that Narayan Maharaj was not a godbrother of Srila Prabhupada, right?
Different. He's from the Gaudiya Math, right?
Well,
he's a disciple of Prabhupada's godbrother.
Prabhupada was from the Gaudiya Math also, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Prabhupada was initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta. That made him a member of the Gaudiya Math.
Yes.
But the person that Narayan Maharaj, Prabhupada went to live with in the ashram of his godbrother named Keshava Maharaj,
yes,
who was a decent descendant of Bhaktisiddhanta. Narayan Maharaj was a disciple of Keshava, not initiated by Bhaktisiddhanta.
Hmm.
And if you read his book, he wrote a book about his relationship with Prabhupada, and look, I'll say two things about Narayan Maharaj, or maybe three. The first thing I'll say is that after he died, and after ISKCON became so fraught with problems and poisons and everything you might say, that after all of those things happened, people were able to go and are still able to go to the ashrams that were started by Narayan Maharaj, and largely they're populated with ISKCON devotees who were kicked out of ISKCON or couldn't handle being in ISKCON anymore. So that, I will say, is a good thing. What I would say is another interesting thing is there were a lot of bad guys that went to Narayan Maharaj simply because they couldn't come back to ISKCON. They'd done all sorts of illegal things and stuff like that, and they couldn't come back to ISKCON. So they came to Narayan Maharaj, and Narayan Maharaj took on their karma and reinitiated them many times, or added to their names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we can say that was a nice thing. I was in Saranagati, and a nice devotee lady that I knew there said, "Why are you upset with Narayan Maharaj?" I said, "Why?" And I start to fume and steam is coming out of my ears. And she said, "But don't you see, he's taking on the karma of our godbrothers who fell down and were useless. They became useless. Then they came to Narayan Maharaj, and Narayan Maharaj accepted them." And I thought, well, that's not a bad point. Why should I be upset with somebody who's taking on the karma of my godbrothers? But then what happened to Narayan Maharaj as a result of taking on the karma of my godbrothers?
What?
Well, I'm waiting for Jagannath to say something.
Some kind of cancer happened.
Oh, okay.
He got cancer. He died of cancer, but I just recently learned that he died of rectal cancer.
Oh,
Ouch, right?
I just read a Facebook post, and they were saying lots of devotees are getting cancer and other maladies right now. And the post was like, "Why do you think this is happening to all these devotees?"
Yeah.
And I
One
wrote,
of the things that is happening is they're getting older.
I have this
so
photo here.
Narayan Maharaj-
Who is this guy? I
That's
forget.
I
I
cannot
forget his
get it,
name.
Prabhu. Can you stop the background?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. That's Srila Maharaj.
Oh yeah, Sridhar.
Sridhar, yeah.
Yeah.
So Sridhar Maharaj, I mean, Prabhupada told us never to go to see Sridhar Maharaj after Sridhar Maharaj claimed that all of Prabhupada's disciples were actually his disciples, not Prabhupada's disciples. For a reporter of the local paper in, Krishnagar, which was 25 miles from Navadvip, where Sridhar's ashram was. So Sridhar said that these are his disciples, not Prabhupada's disciples. Prabhupada was totally enraged when he did that.
Wow.
And he said we should never go to see Sridhar. Needless to say, a lot of devotees did go because they, particularly after Prabhupada was murdered, they did go to see Sridhar because they knew gurus, quote unquote gurus, that came out of the July 9th, so-called July 9th letter. They wouldn't give sannyas to anybody. So they went to Sridhar to get sannyas and also to become gurus.
I think Tripurari Swami also went to Srila and got sannyas because he wanted to be an appointed guru, or they didn't let him
Very
to be.
likely. Very
So
likely.
everybody's fighting over scraps when we have full power
Exactly.
Prabhupada available to us.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Hare
Spoken
Krishna.
like it.
Exactly.
Spoken perfectly as a true Asperger genius.
Right, everyone is
Yeah.
fighting for
You see,
scraps.
Asperger's means you reach the conclusion before you try to reason, whereas people that reason can do quite well until they run out of ideas.
Well, we're reading this guy's thing on Facebook now, and it just sounds like a lot of circular reasoning.
Exactly. You figured it out, Prabhu. Circular
One who
reasoning.
says the pure nama is a true guru, but what's pure nama? Like,
Okay. Who can give the pure nama?
yeah, exactly.
And who is that person? And there should be
Well,
no
of
doubt.
Of course, when any of these guys pop up, they say, me. If you're stupid enough to accept that.
Yeah. So
Going further with Narayan Maharaj, my issue with Narayan Maharaj was that before Srila Prabhupada entered Samadhi, Narayan Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj were working together to make sure that Prabhupada was poisoned. So I look at Narayan Maharaj as a co-conspirator in the poisoning of Srila Prabhupada.
Wow.
Because Tamal wanted Narayan to think that Tamal could make him into the guru, and Tamal wanted Narayan to work to make Tamal into the guru of all of ISKCON. Not just one of the 11, but to be the Acharya following Prabhupada.
The next Acharya.
Yeah.
Anyways, the GBC.
So you see it, no matter where you look at it, it's pretty grimy and grubby. But with Narayan Maharaj, I would say that I have no fondness for Narayan Maharaj personally, because he participated in the poisoning of Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, so Jagannath Das Prabhu, we have had some discussion. So do you have any questions, Prabhu, realizations you can share also? Or about, you can bring anything to the table also. I can give you a share screen and you can take over.
Not right now, though. Thank you.
Okay. We want it to be an interactive discussion.
Yeah. Well, Jagannath, it's great. So far, it's only been Ramachandra and myself back and forth with
Yes.
other people joining in.
Right.
But now we have somebody else with Asperger's besides Ramachandra and me. Well, we welcome you. And let's join in together and create a collaboration as you see how it fits. Asperger's fits Krishna consciousness perfectly. That's why I would be very happy if Elon Musk became a devotee of Krishna. Now, he's read all sorts of books, philosophical books and stuff like that. It's very possible that he read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is and stuff like that. Where the problem comes in is that he may not have, he may have tried to understand it in terms of bogus gurus. And because of that, he did not understand how to surrender to Prabhupada as the outcome, the perfect outcome of Asperger's.
The first time I read the Bhagavad Gita as it is, I didn't really like it because I read the translations, the word by word translations, and sometimes the words that were there were not in the full translation. So I was like, this doesn't seem like a right translation.
Well, did you get the original 1972 version?
Not originally, not the first one I got. No, I got it now.
Okay, well, you have to go with the first one.
But yeah, I mean, then I bought a bunch of other Gitas and I read through them, and I was like, those don't feel right either. And then I circled back to the Bhagavad Gita as it is many times, and then slowly it started chipping away at my dull mind.
Well, did you ever get the 1972 version?
Oh yeah, I got it. I got all the originals of Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
So you have all the originals.
Yeah.
Well, can you tell the difference?
Oh yeah, there's a big difference. I mean, the photos are completely different. The covers are different. They feel different, and the words are obviously different inside.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's the thing. That's the thing to go for.
Right. Okay. Rupa, any comments? Realizations? Okay.
I was wondering how Jagannath Das got his name.
When I first was trying to get into the Krishna consciousness, I didn't want to give up smoking cannabis, so I found a guy, a disciple who was says he's part of the Shiva Sampradaya. What's it called?
Rudra.
Rudra
Rudra.
Sampradaya, and I felt some connection to that at the time. He gave me
Huh.
Harinam, and he gave me a name, Jagannath Das, and I just stuck with it. I like it.
Jai.
No problem.
Hare
Use it well.
Okay, let's see if we have any comments from our Facebook viewers. Jagannath Das Prabhu, you being a tech guy, please try to figure out ways we can reach more people. And let's try to make this program even better. We want to make a website also. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
We're
a
working on
website.
a website. Rupa Manjari is doing work on the website.
Yeah, but
And I'd like to ask Jagannath, do you do websites? Are you interested in websites?
That's how I originally started doing websites, and not the most
Well, why
familiar
don't you
anymore.
work with Rupa to develop this website? We have a webmaster and we have the websites being paid for, and we need to start getting articles and structure together.
yeah, so
Sure, I can help contribute.
sure, excellent. So I'll coordinate with you, Prabhu, and I'll
Yeah.
have Rupa also.
It's just in case you know, I don't know, and I'm sure you might, Ramachandra is the chairman of the board. He's
Yeah,
in charge of.
pull the
his
chairs
web-
from.
This
Well,
is his Zoom program.
I
And
pull
I'm
the chairs
simply
as people try
the
to sit
person
down.
who- I only take part in it as required.
Okay, try. Okay, let's see if there's some nice comments from our devotee viewers online. So I'd like to read it. Let me share the screen. So there's a lot of intelligent devotees who are participating and watching, but they're not participating on live. So if they like, they can participate live and then ask their questions, and in this way, help others. If you have the question, I'm sure other people also have the same question.
That's
So
an intelligent point.
yeah, so only
We
with
should never
Krishna.
assume that. We
Yes.
should never assume that if I have a question, I'm the only person in the entire cosmic manifestation universe that has
Mhm.
that question.
Mhm.
Probably in a room they're full of 100 people, 85% of them would have the same question.
Yeah, yeah. So Rob B says, only with Krishna we can have eternal life. Hare Krishna. And then Gudakesh Das, Michael F says, he instructed contrary to Srila Prabhupada. Who?
What?
Gudakesh says he instructed contrary to Srila Prabhupada. I asked who? He said Narayan Maharaj.
I don't follow what he said.
He's saying that Narayan Maharaj instructed contradictory instructions to Srila Prabhupada.
Bingo.
And I asked him who. He said Narayan Maharaj. Then Gudakesh Prabhu is saying here, they went to Narayan Maharaj, even knowing Srila Prabhupada instructed them to never associate with them. Then Gudakesh Prabhu further says, with his god brothers, I meant. Gudakesh Prabhu says, Srila Maharaj recognized he did not do the task asked by his spiritual master, which was to preach to the West. He didn't feel qualified. So many things. Yes, both
Who,
are
Narayan
into.
Maharaj?
No,
Is that
Srila
Narayan
Maharaj. Srila Maharaj. He's talking about Srila Maharaj.
Oh,
And then he says, yes, both are into such conspiracy.
yeah.
The next Rasalila.
No, the next. Rascal.
Raskalila. Or I thought this was Rasalila.
Rascalia.
Okay, Raskalila. Or okay, yes.
I think he's saying he means rascal.
Okay. Mhm. Then Lakshmi Prabhu is saying, my daughter used to say I have Asperger's. I said, thank you for the comments. The narration is different. Okay. So thank you to our viewers. If they would like to
Thank you for the compliment, right?
Yeah, wonderful compliments and
Did you say compliment or comment?
comments.
We should
Thank you
say
for the-
compliment.
Yeah, thank you for your compliments too. Hare Krishna. Okay. I'll go to Facebook now, see if we have any messages there. 1 second. let's see here.
Good night, everybody. It's time for me to go. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
Time for
Mahaprabhu.
you
You
to go.
still-
I didn't know you were here.
Yeah, I actually did not know you were here. I thought he left, Mahaprabhu, but you are here.
And you changed my name tonight. Much appreciated. Hare Bol.
No, you cannot go. I changed your name tonight, so you must stay.
I'll stay a couple more minutes. I'm still driving.
Okay, well, you can drive and stay. What's the problem?
All right. Hare Krishna.
You can't go.
Haribol.
I said, you were here in the beginning and you must be here at the end.
Hare Bol.
Right.
Joy.
Okay. We don't have any comments on Facebook, so let's continue the discussion. Let's see. Narayan Prabhu, you shared something, so maybe we can read that. Okay.
Okay, well, have
Oh,
we exhausted this topic yet? It seems like it's a hot topic.
Which is, I mean,
Oh, what we've been discussing.
yeah, because yeah, there's a lot of confusion with insufficient guidance that the GBC is giving, and the GBC is appointing the gurus, and the gurus themselves are confused. You know, we can see
Okay, so why don't we wrap that into a nice, neat little package?
Sure.
If this were the Catholic Church, it would make a lot more sense. Because you have the church and then you have the priests. The priests don't have to be Udamadakaris. All they have to do is reflect all they have to do is say what they're supposed to say by the higher up authorities.
Yes.
And that's it. So all they have to do is obey the higher authorities, which is what's going on in ISKCON. And then the higher authority obeys the authority over him and over him, over him. At some point, you have some guy that is called a guru, or the gurus have to obey if the gurus are priests. So it is a church in its infancy, except that they borrowed the term of the Catholic Church of all things, which has no root in Vedic culture or in spiritual life, is that they say that the GBC, the governing body commission, which is supposed to be temple presidents, elected temple presidents who were helping temples get started on the ground, they became huge dictators like cardinals. And as such,
Destroyed the movement.
As such, they have created a priestly structure that has nothing at all to do with anything Srila Prabhupada established.
Yeah. So anyone in the early days, at least 1966, 19 to 1970, anyone off the street would come, learn the whole program in less than a few months, and then go out to open temples and centers. And they were very, very successful. Yeah. Right, Narayan Prabhu?
Well, so much so that Hayagriva,
Right.
who did the editing of the Bhagavad Gita
Right.
and the early Bhagavatams, described that phenomenon
Hare
as
Krishna.
the Hare Krishna explosion.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, if that's an explosion, then what was it like? It meant that temples were opening. You see, every time a temple opened, after 6 months or so, there'd be so many devotees in that temple that you'd say, hey, Prabhu, it's time for you to go out and open a temple. I've
Yeah.
only been here 6 months. Well, do you know how to
Wow.
play mridanga?
Yeah.
I could learn more, but I do know how to play mridanga. Do you know how to play harmonium? Yeah. Do you know how to read from the Bhagavad Gita? Yeah. Do you know how to cook prasada? Yeah, I really do. Yes, that's my favorite thing. And so, and do you know how to do all the things do you know how to offer things to the deity with incense and ghee and whatnot? Yes. So why don't you go and open a temple?
Right.
So the Hare Krishna explosion meant that every time there, well, if I could give you a little clue, when I joined when I became a member of ISKCON, there were a very few temples, maybe a handful, literally as many as the fingers on your hand. I was initiated in 1968, September 20th. In 1969, about a year later, instead of a handful of temples, there were 17 temples. I could not even imagine more temples than that. But can you imagine 17 temples out of 5 with 1 year? Wouldn't you call that the Hare Krishna explosion?
Definitely. Now it's sad. Like I went to a temple about a month ago in Montreal and it felt almost empty. There was some very nice devotees there, but it felt empty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the guy that started that, could you tell him a little bit about Bobby Hebert?
Oh, yeah, he's here. So he started that temple, Bobby Hebert. We'll introduce you to him. What can I say? You should check out the videos. He talks about it. You know, he can.
Yeah, but to give him an idea, to give everybody an idea, give me an idea.
Well, Bobby Hebert is the famous devotee. The temple
Did you say
president.
the name is Vishwakarma?
Oh yes, Vishwakarma Das. He was the longest standing temple president, and what else? You know, he has done
Well,
tremendous.
how many
things.
devotees did he have in the Montreal temple?
Oh yeah, he had lots of devotees. I forget how much he said, but probably more than 100.
Hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds. Oh yeah, the picture is there. Yes, with
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada at the temple. Yeah,
Yeah. It
topmost
looks like
triumph.
300-400 people.
Yeah, right. And now the temple is totally dead. They don't even allow kirtans. So
So that's what happens, but if we take over the temple and we introduce Prabhupada as the Acharya for the next 10,000 years,
yes.
and if we're not going to get Prabhupada to sit on the Vyasasana with a microphone in front of him the way he used to and lead kirtan. But what if we had like 20 new raw off the street devotees sitting there in the temple saying, we want to know how to become devotees of Krishna. And so we say, okay, put on this headphones, and the headphones, if there's 20 of them, we have 20 headphones, all playing the same Prabhupada kirtan. What did we have when Prabhupada was there? Well, we had a Prabhupada kirtan, right? Why? Because Prabhupada was leading it, the kirtan. And did we chant perfectly? No, not at all. We chanted badly. We responded badly. But if we study Prabhupada's kirtans as they are on recording, like if you have 20 devotees, you have 20 people tapped into the same kirtan, then we say, let's have our own kirtan. Well, that's the only kirtan they'll know. So they start chanting Prabhupada kirtan the way he chanted it, with all the inflections. And then if you go out, take them out on the street, to chant in the streets, which is what we always used to do, they'll be chanting Prabhupada kirtan. Can you imagine that? Not made up kirtan, bogus kirtan, crazy kirtan, a bunch of people with their faces towards each other, staring into each other's eyes while they're wiggling their butts at the crowd that's wishing they could understand what the hell is going on there, except wiggling butts. That's my experience. So, so the kirtans would be pure Prabhupada kirtans. And there are quite a few. He didn't chant many melodies, and that should teach us a lesson. Don't chant many melodies. Why? Supposing we get the movement global, and you get people from Japan, from Spain, from Russia, from South America, from Georgia, we all coming in to chant Hare Krishna. Why do we want a whole bunch of different kirtans? Why not have one Prabhupada kirtan so that everyone is chanting and knows and is studied by having studied off of Prabhupada's tapes? Now you might say, well, isn't that sort of artificial or desperate attempt to revive the movement when there's no way to do it? My argument is, well, at what point is Prabhupada's kirtan no longer transcendental? And conversely, when you hear these guys chanting in the street and chanting in the temples, at what point is their chanting transcendental? So at one point, you have people wiggling their butts and chanting Hare Krishna with their own melodies that they made up or they got from somewhere in India. And then you have Prabhupada chanting purely. So which one are we going to choose? The butt wigglers or Prabhupada's transcendental sadhana version? Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Prabhu?
Yes, that makes sense. Prabhu.
You like it?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, that's so much better than liking it. It's so much more Asperger's than liking it.
Jai. Okay.
So if you say you have Asperger's, I take you at your word. I believe you have Asperger's because you say you have Asperger's. Now it's your job to prove it.
Well, he's going to make the movement grow like anything.
Become the equivalent, become the Krishna conscious equivalent of Elon Musk. And guess what?
Jai.
Elon Musk will join if you chant. Do you like the idea?
It's a lot on my shoulders, but I like the idea.
A lot on your shoulders. You already have a lot on your shoulders. Asperger's is no cheap thing.
Hmm.
You don't think Asperger's has been a burden on your shoulders?
It has, in some ways, it's been a huge blessing too.
Well, blessing, that's what we're looking at. But burden on the shoulders also, no?
When I didn't
Being
realize I had it,
misunderstood
especially.
Haven't you been misunderstood by others?
Yeah, and
When you were
couldn't
in
understand
grammar school,
myself.
didn't people make fun of you because you didn't seem to resonate with them the way they resonated with each other?
Yeah.
I mean, am I telling you the truth?
Yeah, I had to find my own way, way to work within the system.
Yeah, and guess why I'm able to say that?
Because you come
One
from the
guess.
same experience.
Yes, I also had Asperger's, and I went through hell growing up.
Hmm.
I had a lot of other reasons that I could farm it out onto. I was raised on a farm. I won't talk about farming it out. I was raised on a farm, and I was didn't go to public school till I was 10. And when I did go to public school, I was wearing dirty farm clothes from milking goats, and
That doesn't
everybody
help.
else had fancy clothes from the store.
Yeah.
You know, and on and on and on like that. But the main thing was I had Asperger's, but I had to suffer so much. And you did too, correct?
Oh yeah, I was bullied a lot.
Okay, now you know why.
Yeah.
Because you were blessed. Okay, the people that bullied you, what did they end up doing with their lives after they were bullied?
Oh, I have no idea, but they're in the same towns, not doing much. Small
Well, auto
towns.
mechanics, house painters, and look at
Possibly.
you. You're about ready to take off into outer space with Asperger's as your rocket ship. You got it?
Hopefully.
I'm taking your word that you have Asperger's.
Hmm.
What makes you think you have Asperger's?
A lifetime of just looking back on it after reading about
Okay.
Asperger's, and my wife reading about Asperger's, and it all makes
Oh,
sense.
you're married.
Oh yeah.
Does
Remember
your
we
wife
talked
have
about my
Asperger's?
wife? Oh, she doesn't
Does
have
your-
Asperger's. I said my wife was from Bengaluru, remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, that's fine. No, I have Asperger's. I'm dyslexic, so I can't remember anything. So if you tell me something 1,000 times, you'll benefit because you've said it 1,000 times, and I'll benefit because I heard it once.
Well, we've
Also,
been
no,
in-
Ryan, Also, Narayan, you'll repeat yourself 1,000 times.
Exactly. But it's beneficial too. We love it. I
But
love
the
it.
real problem is, will I realize that I'm repeating myself? Or will I simply just do it, not knowing that I'm repeating myself?
Mm.
Anyhow, whatever it is, it works. So let's join forces. You, Ramachandra, and if you have room on the boat, me. And of course, Rupa Manjari with
We,
the seat of honor. Huh?
we have our devotee guests online. There were 10 people watching. So thank you to
Wow.
our devotees community online for watching. So please
Well,
share, like
follow-
the videos,
See,
and
find out how many have Asperger's until all the others to leave. No, I'm just kidding.
all
No, I'm
right.
very pleased. I'm very pleased. Ramachandra and I will not feel so lonely now.
Yeah, now I can finally retire.
Retire hardly. You can galore. You can take center stage with your Asperger's.
Okay, so I was doing some searching here, and I came up with some interesting letter. One interesting letter Srila Prabhupada is talking. So maybe speaking.
Go ahead. Remember, you're in charge.
So we can just read it and have a little discussion on it about the liberated soul. So let's see, where should I start? This is a letter to Madhusudana dated November 20th, 1968. Okay. So Jagannath Das Prabhu.
Madhusana may
Yes.
or may not have passed away.
Okay. I just
I
want to
don't
see
know
it.
if
Okay, so let's read from here. Jagannath Das Prabhu, can we have you read? Let me just highlight it to where we want to read to.
Madhusudan did pass away.
he did.
Oh.
Yeah, unless there's two of them.
No, there's no two of them. He was married to Kanchambala.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, they were such a couple. She was a high school student. They used to come in and offer obeisances at the temple in New York after school. Then he was a brahmachari.
Hmm.
And then you can see one thing led to another. They got married. They stayed married for that entire time
Jai.
until recently when he passed away, I think from taking a COVID shot.
Hmm.
You have
Okay.
an idea, Rupa?
I don't know.
Can we read this now here to letter to Madhusudana? Jagannath Das Prabhu, can you read, Prabhu?
Sure.
Yes.
Where Krishna is present, there cannot be any darkness of Maya. So as Arjuna, although always in the presence of Krishna as an eternal companion in friendship, still he had some illusion in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Krishna had to dissipate that darkness by teaching the Bhagavad Gita. The purport is, sometimes even a liberated person like Arjuna plays the part of a conditioned soul in order to play some important part. Similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur for sometimes was associating with the impersonalists, and then he exhibited himself in his true color as a pure devotee, exactly in the same way as Arjuna exhibited in the beginning as a conditioned soul, and then as a liberated soul. So there is nothing to be misunderstood in this connection. Krishna and his devotees sometimes play like that. As much as Lord Buddha, although an incarnation of Krishna, preached the philosophy of voidism, these things are conducted in terms of place, audience, time, etc. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that the activities of the Vaishnava cannot be understood even by the greatest scholar. So we have to understand everything through the transparent via medium of the spiritual master. So there is no doubt about it that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is eternal energy of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. and whatever he did was just to suit the time, place, circumstances, etc. There is no contradiction in his activities. Yes, also, what you have learned about Shukadeva is correct. He stayed in the womb of his mother for 16 years because he was fixed on the Brahman conception. And then on hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, he realized and decided to come out and be active in the service of the Lord to enjoy blissful varieties.
So we can see here Srila Prabhupada depicting how a Uttama Adhikari is acting. Sometimes it may seem contrary to what the Shastras say, right? And Prabhupada here is also saying that the activities of the Uttama Adhikari cannot be understood. Here, cannot be understood even by the great scholars. Then Prabhupada says here, so we have to understand everything through the transparent medium of the spiritual master. So this is one of the reasons why we don't go outside of Srila Prabhupada's transcendental sound vibration, letters, conversations, kirtans.
Vani and Vapu.
Yeah, Vani and Vapu. So there's no misunderstanding, right? Just like this guy, Joshua, you can see just because he has taken shelter of this Tripurari Swami, his understanding is very lacking, right? He's not fixed up. He cannot even say his.
Have you concluded? Have you put the nail in the coffin on his relationship with Tripurari, so it's not up in the air when people leave the site?
Well, he's questioning himself. I made him question his own understanding. He's thinking. He's thinking that his guru. He's thinking that his guru is not an Uttama Adhikari. So, he's questioning himself that is he an Uttama Adhikari, or maybe he is. There's no question of maybe. He's either yes or no, right?
Well, how will he answer that question?
Yeah, how will he answer that question? That's that I'll have to ask him. So
yeah. But in the end, we're dealing with all the gurus and their disciples are all conditioned souls.
Yes.
Now you might say, what about a Kanista Adhikari or Madhyam Adhikari? Well, let's forget Madhyam Adhikari. What about a Kanista Adhikari? Is he still a conditioned soul? Of course. Of course he's still a conditioned soul.
Right.
So how can the blind lead the blind?
Yeah.
You might say one blind man is pretty damn good at leading the other blind man. And that may be the truth, right? You say, boy, you should see my blind man. He can take me through the traffic and I don't get hit by cars. It's just incredible. I love it. But that's like mystical blind man. But you see what I'm saying? But it's not the same thing as a pure devotee, because a pure devotee isn't blind and his disciple does not remain blind, but becomes enlightened due to the activity of the spiritual master. Okay.
Jagannath Das Prabhu, you associated with any of the ISKCON initiated devotees in ISKCON? Do you have any friends in ISKCON, or?
I've gone to Kirtana once or twice, but there's not really anybody around me, so not so much. I don't have any friends.
Oh.
So where did you go for Kirtan?
Just to downtown Minnesota. Someone's house. They had a house temple, and they invited us.
Oh, nice. Did you like it?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, I felt overjoyed.
There's no harm in going, but still understand that it's limited. What you're getting here is not limited. This is unlimited. And the more you tap into your Asperger's, the more you'll be able to tell me why it's unlimited.
Okay.
Jai. So any questions or realizations you want to share about this letter? Jagannath Das Prabhu, Rupa, or Narayan Prabhu, any comments here? on the letter? Realizations, questions, you can ask.
What do you think?
Just talking. I mean, before I came to Krishna consciousness, I read so many different gurus and different spiritual cults and all types of things, and they brought me a little bit higher in my thought process. But you know, they can't bring you. Well, you can only go as high as your guru. So why are these people picking these low gurus? That just
Yeah.
that's what I'm
you have
thinking
to be
about.
able to see that. You see, you're blessed by the ability to see that they are low gurus. I mean, most of the people that follow those low gurus think they're high gurus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me think of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur too, when he said, like, I don't read the book so much, I read the author, and then I can know if I should read the book or not. He said
Bhakti Siddhanta said that?
Yeah, he said I read the authors, not the book.
Yeah, so that is that's the perfect Asperger approach. You see, you want to, the ordinary guy, ordinary, meaning intelligent, going to get an A in Harvard or whatever, ordinary guy, he will read the book and try to understand it and try to go back and forth with the reasoning and the logic and the conclusion and what he can get out of it in terms of getting a job and all of that, right? He'll try to utilize what he reads the same way you chew food. You know, you chew it to get the nutrition out of it. But what you're doing is you're going approach, you want to see the author. So if you go for the Bhakti Siddhanta says, go for the author. You agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you go for the author, then everything he's written is clearly revealed to you.
Man, it makes me think of this book I just bought, or these books. Like, I have to look at my Amazon, but it was like the Satsandarbhas. Someone translated them. One of the devotees in ISKCON, and I bought them, and they're horrible. There's so many spelling mistakes, so many grammar errors. It's just like this is a amazing, beautiful book. And why would you not spend the time to like just spell check it once or twice? It's disgusting. It disgusted me.
It's better to stick with Srila Prabhupada's books.
Yes, exactly.
So you figured that out.
Stick with Prabhupada, only his original books.
Yeah.
See, I was working for the BBT for 5 years. And during that 5 years, I was directing, first of all, 3-4 artists. And then, because I have an art background, 3 or 4 artists, like yourself, art background, but 3 or 4 artists, I ended up with 15 artists. And the 3 or 4 artists would produce a painting every 2 or 3 months. And when I came up with 15 artists, they produced one, each produced one very high quality classical Rubens like painting every month. I mean, I could talk for hours as how I got that to occur, but it was really based on Asperger's because we went for the Siddhanta. Actually, Asperger's is based on a Sanskrit term called Siddhanta, like Bhakti Siddhanta. Siddhanta means conclusion. So you go for the conclusion, not for the thought process to produce the conclusion, right? You like it?
I like it. Siddhanta.
Yeah, Siddhanta, like Bhakti Siddhanta. Siddhanta means conclusion. So there's a saying also about for you to mull over in your spare time that Thakur Bhaktivinoda wrote about his guru who passed away. Ramachandra, how many years before Bhaktisiddhanta, before Thakur Bhaktivinoda wrote that poem, did his guru pass away, would you say?
Which one are you talking about, Prabhu?
Is that Jagannath Das?
Well, Jagannath Das, maybe, but I think he was going back further.
No,
But
they,
anyhow,
okay.
the poem, go ahead, what you were going to say.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. You're talking about dates, so I'm not familiar with the dates. So
Yeah, okay, so I just thought maybe you did. So anyhow, that doesn't matter. But anyhow, he wrote about someone who was no longer living, okay? He reasons ill who say Vaishnavas die when thou art living still in sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and living spread the holy life around. Now, wouldn't you, Jagannath Prabhu, conclude that that would be the equivalent of Prabhupada broadcasting Krishna consciousness through recordings, which is easy, for the next 10,000 years?
Definitely. And reading his
Does it make
books, he
sense?
said,
Does it
read
make
my
sense?
books. And yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard to understand what the talk about, mean. When thou art reading living still in sound, how can he be living still in sound? We say, well, because you're listening to recordings. But they didn't have recordings back then. Right?
Mm.
So it's tricky. But I sort of came up with a slightly speculative thought that if he wrote his conclusions, and writing the conclusions is far more important to to the acharyas than it is to Prabhupada's disciples who like to change books. So when he wrote, and you read what he wrote, his sound vibration would be conveyed via the way he put the words, so that when you read his writing, you can hear him speaking if you're a pure devotee yourself. That's basically what I thought. But we don't have to worry about that in the case of Prabhupada, because he's living still in sound on tape recordings.
right.
Chai.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if there's any comments on our devotee meeting. Okay. There's some nice comments from devotees. Let me share.
Sure.
Let's see here. Lakshmi is saying, I was introduced and then I met devotees of Prabhupada while living in different areas. I have been chanting Hare Krishna and am vegetarian for 7 years now. Try it. So she got introduced to
Is it
Krishna
she
consciousness.
or he?
It's Lakshmi Almeida. I think it's a she.
Okay, well,
I was introduced and then I met the devotees of Prabhupada while living in different areas. I have been chanting Hare Krishna and am vegetarian for 7 years. So I guess Krishna consciousness, she got in contact with devotees several times. So she's been blessed, and she's been reading and chanting. So
yeah, and that's what we're looking for.
yeah,
We're not looking for, I'm not looking, oh, here's the great Narayan, he's going to become a guru. And now you can all come and surrender to his disgusting feet. Then we're not going to, that's not what we're doing,
Hmm.
That's not what we're doing.
Then Gurakesh Prabhu says Hare Krishna. Anubhavananda from Florida is saying, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Here's the devotee that wrote the poem that we read the other day. And Gurakesh Prabhu saying Jai. Lakshmi is saying, my family are Jehovah's Witnesses and they are incapable to think, animal, read, sleep, mate, defend, so demoniac. And then there's a guy named Radhe Shyam, Hare Krishna, eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Hare Krishna, Lakshmi says, excuse me, but is this Narayan the same Nathan Zakheim? Zakheim. Zackheim, and what's his name says yes.
All I can say is that depends. Why
And-
do you want to know? Yes,
And-
it is. I confess. And
It's
you
the
can
same.
throw whatever you like at me or agree.
Yes.
This is Istagosi, we should make clear. Istagosi
Right.
is an assembly, and Jagannath also. What is Istagosi? It's an
Istak-
assembly of jivas.
Right.
What is a jiva? Jiva is the iota or spiritual iota particle of Krishna. So it has no dimension. If the jiva had dimension, they'd be a crowding all over the place. The jiva has no dimension because Krishna doesn't get bigger by having jivas. The jivas are all part and parcel of Krishna. This is where it gets to be algorithmic and also Asperger's, and that is the jiva is part and parcel of Krishna without taking up any space. So the jiva, that means the jiva is infinitesimal or infinitely small, whereas Krishna is infinitely large. So Istagosti, that's what we're talking about. Istagosti means jivas get together into a space and sit down together in a circle. Istagosti means a circle of cowherd boys. The jivas talk to each other in the mood of expressing their realizations of Krishna. Now, if the jiva, all jivas have some understanding of Krishna, or they wouldn't exist. Because the jiva is part and parcel of Krishna. We say that a million times over when we're preaching in the street, but the jiva is part and parcel of Krishna. And because the jiva is part and parcel of Krishna, because the jiva is part and parcel of Krishna, then each jiva can talk to each another jiva clearly. Now, but you say, but I'm so contaminated. I'm identifying with my material body, and the jiva, as far as I know, it's just one tiny little infinitesimal part of that makes me alive, and the body is composed of all sorts of stuff that ultimately fails and dies, and it gets buried or burned up or whatever. Buried, or and that I can say that, but the actual fact is that when we get to Istagosti, it's jiva to jiva. We're not talking about what was your birth, what were your mother and father, what country were you born in. No, we're talking about you are pure spirit soul. I am pure spirit soul. I am bewildered by material energy. And then you can say, well, I'm also bewildered by material energy. But what can we agree is the property of the jiva. So that is Istagosti, circle of cowherd boys. Now in Krishna Loka, there is a circle of cowherd boys. The cowherd boys like to sit down, maybe have lunch or just chat or play around with each other. And they sit in a circle. And guess who sits with them? Krishna also sits in that circle. And when that happens, Istagosti means that they are all discussing things as equals. And they say, but except for Krishna, he's God, he can't be equal. If I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I'm not going to accept that Krishna is equal to the cowherd boys. But in Krishna Loka, that's exactly what it is.
Okay, we have about, yes. Go ahead.
We have 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Krishna is, I'll finish. Krishna is equal in principle, size, and behavior. But he is, of course, God, and everybody, all the cowherd boys are inside of him as parts and parcels. But in Krishna Loka, nobody thinks like that. They're all doing their wonderful rasas with Krishna without considering that he's big and I'm small. it doesn't work that way. So anyhow, I just wanted to point that out to Jagannath Prabhu, that in Istagosti we treat each other as equals, not physically, materially, or mentally, but spiritually as jivas. Is that okay, Ramachandra?
Yeah, so I'd just like to end it off with some comments from our devotees online. So
Jai.
Lakshmi Prabhu was saying, I drove Malati to Columbus, Ohio one time when I first arrived to New Vrindavan. I lived in the old art studio on and off for 3 years. Aristo Prabhu is also on. Obeisances to all Prabhus. Okay, Hare Krishna, obeisances to you, Aristo.
Aristo.
Yeah, Lakshmi is here. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. So I asked
Please
Lakshmi.
accept my humble obeisances, Lakshmi Prabhu. I am your eternal servant forever.
Okay, then I asked Lakshmi a question. Lakshmi, how was your experience? Malati has come to Sacramento many times. She has rendered wonderful service to Srila Prabhupada, but is a controversial person. Malati's mom used to live in Sacramento. She has now passed away, I said. And Lakshmi is saying Malati was kind and always had Prabhupada chanting and singing in her home. She would drive Prabhupada. She has just went along with the structure, and that is troubling.
It's troubling, but she started with Shama Sundar opening the temple in San Francisco, where I joined and took initiation in 1968. I will never forget Sunday feast, where her coming with 1 or 2 pots of prasad, and then we just run that. The temple was narrow, so a cloth was running down the center of the temple, and all the pots would be there, and Jamuna and all the other women would be sitting on other side of the pots, and they'd pass plates down and fill the plates as they came down. So that's my memory of Lakshmi, of Malati.
Okay, Aristo asked a question. Maybe we can answer it in
Aristo?
Yeah. Is it not accurate that all modern technologies are actual manifestations of ancient intelligence that emanates from Krishna? Is it not accurate that all modern technologies are actual manifestations of ancient intelligence that emanates from Krishna?
What would you say?
Absolutely. Because intelligence is coming from the soul, and the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. And to create anything, it requires Krishna's intervention, meaning that his blessings or his insight.
Joy, that's beautiful.
Krishna says, I am the ability in man.
Yes. Excellent, Rupa Manjari. Jai. Krishna, I am the ability in man. Yes, Bhagavad Gita. Okay. If yes, as devotees of Krishna, how does Srila Prabhupada want us to live in light of this life? What is altering technology? Is it Maya or Krishna oriented?
Is that Arista again?
Yes, Aristo is asking this wonderful
So
question.
what did he say? I didn't quite catch the gist.
He asked the first question, is it not accurate that all modern technologies are actual manifestations of ancient intelligence that emanates from Krishna? And Rupa
There's
said,
only one intelligence, and it's applied in various ways. So
Yeah.
Rupa said, I am the intelligence of man. That
Yeah.
covers the whole topic.
and then Aristo asked a further question, if yes, as devotees of Krishna, how does Srila Prabhupada want us to live in light of this life, altering technology? Is it Maya or Krishna oriented?
Depends how you use it.
Exactly. It's how you use
Thank
it.
you. That's
Jai.
a perfect answer, Jagan.
Then
Yeah,
Aristo says,
that's how you use it.
yeah, exactly. Then Aristo Prabhu saying, Hare Krishna. And then I commented, Lakshmi, indeed, Malati is always repeating what Srila Prabhupada has written, letters, conversation, etc. So in that way, she is excellent. She has understood, it seems.
Are you talking about the Malati that was
Yeah,
married to Shama Sundar?
Yeah. She's Yeah, she came to Sacramento a few times and she gave wonderful classes and memories of Srila Prabhupada, which she has a lot. And she reads from Prabhupada's lectures, conversations, letters, glorifying Srila
And she
Prabhupada.
was one of the main driving forces to create the magical feeling that the devotees created in London in 1969 about surrounding the Beatles, which made them, never tried to, I want to see the Beatles. Never was like that. They would leave custom-made cakes or things like that in the Beatles' offices, and to be able to say, who did that? Who did that? All these people in robes, these devotees of Krishna. And then finally the Beatles wanted to find out. And that's what led to the record, the Hare Krishna mantra that went to the hit parade longer than any Beatle song did.
Okay.
And Malati was, I'm just glorifying Malati. Malati was a major force
Exceptional.
factor in all of that.
Jai. Excellent. Okay. Thank you to all the devotees here. We're at 10 o'clock. Thank you to our online viewers. If they have any questions, comments, realizations, anything, they can join our WhatsApp group, which is in the link, or contact us on Facebook, or share your comment in the description of the video. Anyone can comment, and then we'll answer it. We'll discuss it in the next video.
And I would like to make a special request that Jagannath be present at the Zoom call tomorrow.
I'll try my
Jai.
best.
He's been present all these days, so
Is
that's
that
very
okay?
nice.
Can you do it?
Yes.
Rupa, any
Yeah.
concluding words?
Good session.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Prabhus. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Bye.